Clarkston, Michigan, the greatest city in the world. It's the Jose Aliaga Show. Jose Aliaga knows everyone. Get to know him as he interviews some of the most fascinating people from the greater Independence Township area. And now, broadcasting from the studios at Clarkston High School, the home of the state champion Wolves, here's Jose Aliaga.
Welcome to the Jose Aliaga Show. This week, we find out that U.S. Senator Ted Cruz announced he's running for President of the United States. And he's a senator from Texas, and he's a Harvard graduate. And today we have a guest who is also a Harvard graduate. His name is Michael Yashinsky. He's also a Spanish teacher at Franco-Jewish Academy, and he's opera director. And today we're gonna know more about him. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Good.
It's great to teach with you at the Franco-Jewish Academy.
Right. Miguel, right? Michael.
Sí, Miguel, en mi clase de español, profesor.
So I was told that maybe this interview can be in Spanish. What do you think? We do it in Spanish or in English?
Maybe a little of both, see?
Oh, okay.
Sí.
Well,
Bicultural.
bicultural. So you're a Harvard graduate, right?
I am, yeah. I graduated in 2011 from Harvard with a bachelor's degree in modern European history and literature.
Oh, good. It's really good. And you told me you also now do certain type of work for Harvard or something?
Well, I do volunteer for Harvard, as a lot of alumni do, interviewing new applicants to the school. So just as we were interviewed a few years back, now we're interviewing the next bunch of people who want to attend Harvard College. So that's a real honor to do that, and I get to meet some very interesting and worthy young people.
Good. All these people are local, Michigan people, Oakland County, or?
Yeah, local people. That's they have alumni all over the country interviewing kids in their area so that they can cover more of the country and the world.
Oh, good. And Michael, how many languages do you speak, by the way?
I speak 5 or 6.
Oh, what are?
I speak, well, English, my native language, Spanish, which I teach along with you, and German, Hebrew, Yiddish, Italian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you told me you're going to be going to Europe to take another language class or something?
I am. This summer I'm going to Lithuania to study Yiddish. I spent last summer studying Yiddish at this place called the Yiddish Book Center in Amherst, Massachusetts. And this summer I'm going to go to Lithuania, which was once a sort of center. This Vilnius, the capital, which is in Yiddish is Vilna, was once a center of Jewish, Yiddish-speaking civilization in Europe before the war. Oh,
okay. Yeah. So it's a second language.
For me, Yiddish. Yeah. For me, second language or fifth or fourth. I don't know what, but yeah, I didn't speak it growing up. I've only started studying it the past few years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's similar to Hebrew, right?
They share a lot of the same vocabulary, but structurally and grammatically, it's more similar to German, actually. It comes from sort of medieval German. And it was the language spoken by Jews living in Central and Eastern Europe and their ancestors all over the world. I learned Hebrew in school. And that's the language of the modern state of Israel, and Jews used to use that for prayer and study, and they would speak Yiddish. Now it's sort of reversed, that people speak Hebrew and learn Hebrew, and that's their everyday language in Israel. And Yiddish has become a bit more remote, and it's not studied in a school like ours, Franco-Jewish Academy. But I'm very interested in it.
Good. Very impressive that you can actually already know 5 languages, almost 6, and you're gonna take another one.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah. Languages have always been something that has just really interested me and that I have some natural ability for, so I might as well exploit that and make it my business to study and be involved in languages. And my work with the opera, I'm also doing that.
Right, I was going there. So you also work in opera. So tell me, what is opera?
Opera is really theater. It's like going to a play, but it's all set to music. And you have singers singing the lines that in a play would just be spoken. So it's a pretty old art form, and yet a still very vibrant and popular art form. And it requires great artistry on the part of the singers and the people putting it on. It's a difficult and expensive art form.
So what is the difference between opera and theater?
Really, the difference is that everything is composed to music. So everything that the characters are feeling and saying to each other, they sing. And they sing in this very grand and beautiful way, enough to fill the whole theater with their sound, because in opera, microphones aren't used like they would be in a Broadway musical or in a rock concert. The singers are trained to sing in such a way that their voices naturally fill the space of the theater, and that's one of the things that makes it so exciting.
Oh, and I can tell you like opera better. So why do you like opera?
I love opera because it really makes you feel things, I suppose. It makes you feel things very deeply. You watch on stage these human dramas enacted and sort of brought to their maximum level of anger and passion and love. And watching them, it makes you kind of examine your own life in an interesting way and examine human relationships in your own world. So it's really our world multiplied 1,000 times and set to the most gorgeous music. So you really can't help but love it. If a lot of people are afraid of opera, but if they just go once and try it, then I think they'll fall in love, as I did when I was a junior in high school.
So now you mentioned before, for opera it's natural singing. So basically, I have to assume you need to be a professional singer to do opera?
For sure, yeah. The singers are all professionally trained and requires a lot of years of training, because what they do is very special. They're not only singing without amplification, which is very hard, and they need to train their voice to do that in a healthy way, but they need to study foreign languages as well, because operas generally are either in Italian or German or French, and here we put on English opera as well, but you have to be able to sing and communicate in all these different languages. So that requires a lot of study too. And that's one of the things that has made me excited to work in opera as a director and as a community engagement coordinator talking about opera.
I see, I see. And so how many productions have you done with opera?
Well, I did a lot in college. There were a few sort of student opera societies at Harvard where we just put on shows ourselves. There's no real theater department at Harvard, so we were just sort of a gang of friends putting on opera and rehearsing in squash courts underneath dormitories, and I got a lot of great training that way, and also working in opera houses during the summer, as I did in college in Vienna and in Detroit. And then since I've worked in Detroit with Michigan Opera Theater, I've been involved in quite a few productions. I've assistant directed some operas, and I've directed some children's operas. And other operas, I go about talking about them and planning little lectures and concerts and things like that.
So, like for example, which production? Like for example, you say children's, like what production?
Yeah, we did a couple years ago an opera called The Happy Prince, which is set, it's based upon an Oscar Wilde fairy tale called The Happy Prince, and it's sort of about this city that's undergoing some trouble, and maybe it wasn't at quite the level of glory that it used to be, but there's certain figures in the city who are wanting to make a difference and to help people. And so we actually made the decision to set it in modern day Detroit. So all the costumes and sets reflected that, and it was quite interesting. Last year we did a children's opera which was actually performed at a concentration camp during the Holocaust. It was called Brundibar, and we had coming to the production one of the survivors of that production that was in the camps, who is now an older woman and goes all over the world talking about opera. Her name, talking about this opera, Brundibar. Her name is Ella Weisberger. So we had the honor of having her with us, this sort of figure of history for our production. And yeah, there will be other ones coming up.
And what was the ages that the production that was for kids?
It really, anyone can enjoy it, but we have a lot of school kids coming to see it, and the people singing in the opera are all kids, so they're all 10 to 16 years old.
Oh.
Or actually 8 to 16 years old.
So what is the minimum age for someone that wants to learn opera, want to be involved in opera, and someone that is right now watching and says, hey, that sounds great, I want to do it. So what is the minimum age?
Really, you can start taking voice lessons and singing and things as early as you like. And you're not going to be singing demanding stuff that's not right for your voice, and neither do these kids who are in our children's operas. They sing music that's written for kids to perform. But you can start training your vocal instrument and learning how to read music early. The voice won't start really developing into a truly operatic instrument until you're in maybe your late 20s or 30s. So it takes a lot of study and a lot of just maturation of the voice to reach that level. But anyone can have a go at just singing and learning, and well, I do that, you know. I enjoy singing, even though I'm not a professional singer.
But who is your favorite professional opera singer right now?
Singing today?
Yeah, today.
Oh boy, that's a tricky one.
Or any one that good opera singer, I mean.
Yeah, well, who came to mind, an opera singer singing today, is this Russian mezzo-soprano called Olga Borodina.
Olga Borodina.
Yeah, and I saw her in a production at the Metropolitan Opera, which is in New York, and one of the nation's greatest opera houses, singing in this Russian opera called Khavanshina. And she had this sort of low, stentorian, powerful voice that could sometimes sound, you know, enchanting and womanly, and sometimes sound almost masculine and aggressive and mystical. And it had all these colors, and I just was enthralled by that performance. It was a really long opera, but became one of my favorites. I like Russian opera very much.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. How much it costs, kind of average, to go and see opera? Like if I want to go and watch an opera, you know, how much?
Yeah, you know, it's not as elitist or unaffordable an art form as people might think it is. There's tickets at all price ranges. You know, from as low as $35 to if you want to sit right up front and have great seats, you know, in the hundreds, I guess. But there's actually a special night at the Detroit Opera House called Access Opera, and it's for young people under 40, and they can go and get $35 tickets, and it's a way to have a taste of opera without the cost.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, some people probably wondering because, you know, I was wondering how much it would cost a ticket to watch. So tell me, what production are you doing now? What is your production currently you doing? Because I know you're involved in some opera productions.
Yes.
So I would like to know what you're doing right now, what production?
Yes. Well, the Detroit Opera House right now is presenting this opera called Frida. About the famous Mexican painter Frida Kahlo. And I've brought a book of...
Oh, great. Can you please show it to the
a book
camera?
of her art, just to show a bit of a sample of what she was all about. She did a lot of self-portraits. She actually said of herself, I paint self-portraits because I'm so often alone and because I'm the person I know best. And she had this really interesting life.
Let's see if we can get closer, a little bit closer. Okay.
She had this really interesting life, and this opera is all about her life and all about her art. And it's the sort of exciting thing for the Opera House because we're presenting it at 3 different theaters around Metro Detroit, not just at the Detroit Opera House, our home. We're sort of bringing it into the communities, and it's this kind of celebration of Frida and of Latino culture, and it's a new opera, which is fun also.
Oh,
fairly new, you know, new in that it's about, well, 20 years old, but that's pretty new for opera.
Do you have other pictures you want to show about other plays?
Sure.
I mean,
so that's one that the Opera House is putting on now, and I've gone about talking about it, and the opera has been a great success. We've, I think, sold out our shows, basically.
Oh, really?
So that's exciting.
So how many plays, I mean, is playing right now in?
It's playing next weekend. It'll be at the Detroit Film Theater, which is attached to the DIA, and there might still be some tickets available for the final dress rehearsal.
Oh.
But most of them have sold out, and it's been something new, so it's been exciting that people have embraced it, because it's something a bit different from the Opera House, going out of our theater and taking a chance on this sort of different kind of work, this Frida, more contemporary. The other thing I'm working on, I'll be directing, one I'm going to be directing a children's opera, another children's opera at the Opera House called How Nanita Learned to Make Flan, another sort of Latino-themed opera, which we're trying to do this year. This one will be presented at different schools.
Oh, really?
It'll be sung in by adults, but it'll be given for youth at schools.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
So that's not one people can come and see, really, I think, because it'll mostly be at schools. We'll be doing sort of taking it on the road. But one that people can see that I'm directing with our high school, Franco-Jewish Academy, is a Yiddish play.
Oh.
It'll be performed entirely in Yiddish, which the students are sort of learning as they're rehearsing the play. So they're taking their first steps in the language and their first steps in this exciting play called After Midnight, Noch 12 bei Nacht. And it's quite exciting. It's a new sort of venture for the school. We got a grant from a foundation in New York that supports programs that promote Yiddish among youth. And so we'll be doing this April 30th and May 3rd.
And for this production, how many people you usually need for make this production?
How many actors? There will be 9 actors in it.
9 actors?
9 actors, speaking in a foreign language. But the audience will be able to understand everything that they say, just like in opera, because above the stage we have a screen where the translations in English are projected. It's called super titles. Just like if you go to a foreign movie and you see subtitles below the screen with the translations, here they're super titles because they're above the stage.
Right.
So it'll be quite exciting. Tickets can be bought at aftermidnight.yapsody.com.
Okay.
And it's just a sort of fantastical drama in this beautiful, rich language of Yiddish.
Okay, that sounds really good. I mean, as you say, a play where they have a different language with subtitles, that sounds really interesting.
But with emotion that people can understand, that's familiar to them, you know?
Yeah, that sounds...
Yes.
Wow.
I just thought I'd show maybe a picture from Marc Chagall.
Okay.
Who is a famous Eastern European Jewish painter.
Oh, really?
And we'll be designing sets for the show sort of inspired by his art, because he paints things in this sort of lovely, colorful kind of...
if you can put it more in the middle, let's see. You see the picture?
It's sort of almost impressionistic and kind of drawing on folk motifs and folk art sometimes. And so you'll see some of his sort of palette in the sets for the show and in the poster, which is exciting.
That's really good.
A way to sort of root it in the Eastern European tradition from which the play comes. Yeah. Good.
So, I want to ask you this. So, how hard, I mean, what is more difficult to make a movie, because movies kind of is a play. I mean, a movie, I mean, you need actors there. What is more difficult to make, a movie or opera?
I'd say, in terms of the actors part, it may be harder in opera in terms of the performers, because, as I said, they have to often be performing in a language they don't know.
Okay.
And everything has to be live and in the moment. That's
true.
Something that separates, you know, opera or theater from a recorded art form like a movie or a song, you know, that you might hear on the radio. Everything has to be right there on stage while the audience is watching it, and you're sort of, as an audience member, giving the performer something that they can feed off of and the performer is giving something for you to enjoy, and it's this kind of mutual relationship that forms in the moment in the theater. So it's really thrilling in that way, and that's one of the things that makes it so engaging, I think.
You're right, because in a movie, if you make a mistake, you can cut, you can do it again until they pick what is the best part. But I guess in opera, you can't.
That's right.
You have to do it perfect.
Yes.
No mistakes, zero mistakes. You go there, perform, and sing, and have to be good. And you have a bunch of people have to follow you and do it the same, perfect.
That's right. And
So
everyone is doing it. I mean, there's all these orchestra members. There could be, 80 people in the pit playing instruments, and the conductor is leading everyone. And then singers, there could be, up to 80 singers on stage or even more, all trying to put something together in the moment at once and be coordinated. So it's really hard, and it takes a lot of rehearsal. So there will be, before every opera, about a month of rehearsal or less, but it's every day, rigorous.
For a big play, one of the like for example Frida. How many actors do you need for Frida?
And Frida, there's not too many actually. It's a
really?
smaller piece because we're taking it to 3 different places, so it's sort of more portable. Don't know the exact number, less than 20 singers, fewer than 20. And they're all taking different roles. So the woman who's playing Frida, Catalina Cuervo, this lovely Colombian soprano, she's only going to be playing Frida, but other people in the ensemble, like there's one person who may be playing her father and who's also playing a revolutionary and is also playing a New York socialite. So they'll take on a few different roles, each person in the ensemble. Sort of unique in that way.
Interesting. So, so people can play more than one role.
Yeah,
That's
within one performance. And, there's a lot of quick costume changes backstage. So backstage it may be madness, sort of, but on stage you're seeing this very finely rehearsed and precise, and yet exciting and entertainment, sometimes a bit wild also.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, tell me, what is your favorite, I don't know, I think, what is your favorite play, opera play? The one that you really, the most, that you enjoy and like?
Yes. I'd say probably, I have a few favorites, but we've been talking about English language opera. Frida is in the English language. And my favorite of our country and in the English language would have to be Porgy and Bess, which is, it's called an American folk opera. It's set in the South, and it's this beautiful story, sort of tragic at times and violent at times, and yet deeply emotional and deeply human, and set to music by George Gershwin. That draws on jazz sometimes and draws on gospel, and it's just, it entrances you and it keeps you every moment interested. It was my first opera, so it's remained one of my most beloved. My mother took me to see it. My mother, Deborah Yashinsky, took me to see it when I was a junior in high school. I had just finished taking the SAT test. And instead of taking me home just for a nap, like a lot of parents might have done, she actually picked me up from the test and took me straight to the Detroit Opera House, where we saw Porgy and Bess. And it sort of revived me in a way that a mere nap couldn't have. It kind of made me realize the world was bigger than just getting into college, which is what I was very focused on then with taking this test. It made me, more aware of what I am and who I am, and opera can do that kind of. And it's a beautiful piece. I've seen it a few times since, and I never get tired of it.
Oh, really? And what was the other one that you just say you have few? Which one is the second favorite for you?
Second favorite? I would say probably, I talked about how I love Russian opera, and I do, and I love this composer Tchaikovsky, who is a Russian composer. One of my favorites from him is an opera called Yevgeny Onegin, Eugene Onegin. And it's just this story about young love and how it's sort of ended before its time, and how it then progresses as the characters get older. Yevgeny Onegin is the title character. He's this kind of young, wealthy man who spurns this woman who loves him and later comes to regret it. And like Russian opera, like a lot of Russian opera, it's got this very sort of romantic score with these strings that kind of throb in the orchestra with emotion and violence, and you know, it's pretty long. A lot of these operas can be a bit long, but the hours whiz by because it just takes you for a ride, kind of. And that one certainly did for me.
Oh, good. Well, before we end this great interview, I would like to know, what is your next project for the future? Do you have any projects in opera?
I'll be continuing to work on these productions I'm working on now, the Yiddish play and this opera for children, and those will go up later. And for the rest of the operas of the Michigan Opera Theater season, I'll be going around speaking about them, giving lectures. Those are The Merry Widow and Faust, and two great operas. One is an operetta, which means it's sort of lighter music and happier, not the real heady, dramatic, angry stuff that opera can have sometimes, The Merry Widow. And so those we'll be doing in the spring, and I'll be helping to educate the public about them and hear what the public has to say about them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Today I can tell you I learned a lot about opera thanks to you. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people that's watching this today, they probably learn a lot about opera, and I can see the passion and how you love opera, and it's really contagious and really good.
Yes.
You know. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for being here and to share with us your passion about opera.
Thank you very much, nice. José. Es un placer estar contigo aquí en tu programa de televisión aquí en Clarkston.
Caramba, y tiene buen acento español. Bueno, thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Sí, de nada. Muchas gracias a ti.
De nada. Well, that's all for today. And please, if you want to be a guest or you want to share something in the José Aliaga Show, look at us on Facebook, José Aliaga Show, or our phone number is 248-736-7163, and you can call us and let us know. I'm happy to have you here, and that's all for today. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thanks. Gracias.